Hey everyone, today we are talking about the Secret Lair Everyone's Invited Commander Deck. And is it worth $200? Let's get into it. We got a lot to cover because it is a whole commander deck, and we're going to go through it all. First, we're going to cover just what the deck is about. Then we're going to go into the financials. Then we're going to go and break down kind of the deck template, how, what kind of overall categories all the cards fall into, if it is a in fact, built deck. And then we're just going to talk about gameplay because I play tested it a bunch for you guys. So first off, what even is this deck? Well, it's called Everything's Invited because it's changeling based. Tons and tons of creature types in here. Basically things that can give buff to food or golems or slivers or what have you, and basically you use a bunch of changelings to fill out the role of every creature type, so all your buff, your lord effects. So if you've got a mana dork that taps for mana equal to the number of allies you have, then hey, bing bang boom, then all of your shapeshifters count for that, so you can make a ton of mana. Mana Weft Sliver lets all your slivers tap for mana, so all your shapeshifters get to tap for mana. There's stuff that gives them flying, gives them haste, all sorts of good fun creature type specific buffs that you get to leverage because your creatures are all creature types, and there's a few cards in there that also make all your creatures all creature types, so it just applies throughout the whole thing. So that is kind of the gist of the deck, and you're just trying to go wide and win with like Coat of Arms or just getting your opponent's stuff out of the way with Raise the Palisades, and yeah, swinging for the win. So that's the deck in a nutshell, but it's costing us $200 this time, which is a $50 increase over the last couple of years. When these first came out, they were $100, but then they moved them up after 2 years. It became $150. Now it's 200 buccarinos. Is it worth $200? Well, let's look at the singles price. First off, if you're just going to buy everything, including the lands, if we're counting the lands as like 5 cents and stuff. So this is basically everything off TCG Player. The deck singles are worth 291 cents. So technically, yes, you are in fact getting exactly what your money's worth, not accounting for sales tax or shipping, whatever, which is fine. The number of non-bulk cards, so this is everything over $2. If you were just to piece the deck out and sell it, so basically you can't really sell basic lands or anything that's under $2, but if you were to list everything over $2, it would be $163, so not too bad. You still get a decent bit of your money there. Over $5 is $137. Cards over $10, this is like juicy good stuff. You've got $90 of cards here, so that's solid. $15 is $40, and over 20 you've got a single card, Ren and Seri, over $25. So overall, there's a decent amount of stuff here. You've got 21 cards that are non-bulk, but 80% of the deck is in fact bulk. So if I were to just say, hey, do I want to buy this? Do I not want to buy this? If you're just looking for playable, like it's convenient, like if you want to just have a nice convenient and you don't mind spending $200, that's easy. You could just give them the money, they'll hand you the deck. If you want to go a more budget approach to this, I would just say go buy the singles because it's cheaper if you don't care about the art. So the only reason I would get this is if $200 means nothing to you, or if you really like the art. I think this art is pretty sought after. The response to the new art was overwhelmingly positive. People really like the art. I don't blame them. Here we're going to look through the new arts now. We've got Morphon. We've got a new brilliant looking Soul Ring. We've got Raise the Palisades, a Bitter Blossom, Torian Mauler, Tender Shoot, Dryads here, Avenger of Zendikar, Coat of Arms, Maxwood Nexus, and a Kindred Summons. They're all super playable, but for the most part, these are great cards. People do love playing this stuff. Everyone's always on board for a new Soul Ring, despite getting one in every single precon. So, good card choice in terms of new art. I understand, all of us would wish that every single card would have new art. It's not how it goes. These decks only ever give us like 10 pieces new art. You do also get 4 shapeshifter tokens for what it's worth, so those are really nice. It is brand new art for that as well, so take that into your factoring of whether this is worth it or not. Here are the top 10 cards that are in the deck. You can see Ren and Seri at the top, Coat of Arms next at $16. We've got Bitter Blossom following that up, Black Market Connections, Kinsale Cavalier, Kindred Dominance, Raise the Palisade, Kindred Summons, Mutavault, and Kindred Discovery. All the Kindred cards. in here. Or the 3 that they put in here are all in the top 10. It's nice to get reprints for a lot of this stuff. Not that Secret Lair decks typically move the needle at all, but hey, a reprint is a reprint. It will help at least to some extent. So from a singles value, I think this is just okay. You could do a lot worse. You could do a lot better. It's not like you're getting tons and tons of value. I know we see pre-cons, they go for like $60, you get like $100 worth of cards. Nothing like this. You're just breaking even, so you're really just, you're using that extra even money to pay for the new art. Do I think the new art is worth it? If this is a deck type that really calls to you, I think, yeah, why not? And yeah, snag this. If you don't like the art, just buy the singles and build the deck. If you do like the art, yeah, I think this is worth it. Although $200, that's pretty steep. So let's break down the deck into the categories of cards that they've included and see whether or not this looks to be playable or not. So let's start with the lands. It's the easiest thing. We'll knock it out. 37 lands. They put 37 lands in everything. That is the Wizards' go-to number for how many lands should you put in deck. It's 37. I don't think they're wrong, by the way. I think 37 is a great number of lands. At least when you're starting off, just put 37 in. Good standard number of lands to put in. Absolutely fine there. Let's look at draw. 7 cards of draw. It's light. It definitely feels light. There are times in the game where I wish I had more card draw. Definitely do feel the lack of draw here. I would definitely add a few more pieces to this. And they don't have to be non-synergy pieces. There could be more synergy pieces in here as well. And maybe I just never drew them. I tested only over I think 8 games or so, which is a small sample size. But, Moto is abysmal and you can only force me to play it for so long. Ramp is 10. I wish it was higher, or there was better ramp spell or bigger ramp spells in here. Morphon is 7 mana. It is tough to get to that sometimes, especially if you don't hit one of the 3 or so mana dorks and also have the shapeshifters to really get the whole engine going. It can be tough to get Morphon out there and get the whole rest of the deck singing, but getting something that like a migration path, even to get a couple more lands onto the battlefield, or an open the way, something that can actually dump a good chunk of lands out to help you out with it, would have been nice to see. Yeah, that's how I feel about the ramp package. Removal was light. I know there is removal in here, and some of this is like an arcane denial, which is kind of pseudo removal, kind of just protecting your board state kind of stuff. Removal is light, and it definitely feels that way. You are absolutely just trying to do your thing and hoping no one gets in your way. Mass removal, while I would say if you're the more competitive side, you should err towards more mass removal. The spells that they do include in this deck for mass removal are quite good. I do like them. They tend to be one-sided many of the times, so yeah, they play really well. I have no issues with the mass removal in this deck. The main stuff is basically being able to get your shapeshifters and stuff onto the battlefield. Utility stuff is all the lord effects, all the stuff that actually buffs your shapeshifters and all that jazz. This is a fine mix. I think these two pieces play pretty well together. The cards they include, it's not optimal. I would have liked it for the $200 to be like a better list, I guess, but there's certain, they always want to leave room for upgrades, even no matter what level of price point Wizards is selling you, they're going to leave room for you to make the deck your own. I get the argument for it. Sometimes I'd like it just, hey, let's go right out of the box, and the deck still plays that way, but there are some very clear changes I would make to the deck. So how did the deck play? I play tested the deck 8 to 10 games or so on Magic Online. I couldn't do any more than that because just my own personal well-being for playing that many games of Commander on Moto was just brutal after that. You get everything. It's almost impossible. No one really uses the bracket system that super well yet. Or, even before, this is not an indictment of the bracket system. Before that, we were using power levels, and no one could get that right either. So no one knows really what they're playing, or they're intentionally angle shooting. You got someone always playing Baral, oops, all counter spells, so it's hard to get a read on whether your deck, actually can do anything, or if it's just that one guy that's countering anything no matter what you're doing. You got guys quitting the game because they didn't draw their 3rd land, and they're a baby about it, so they quit immediately. So yeah, testing was tough. Take it with a grain of salt. I could have just had 8 horrible matches, and that's just how it went. Overall, I thought the deck performed fine. Is it the best deck ever? Is it the most streamlined? No. It's going to timmy out and do all the cool things it wants to do, and it's going to do a reasonably decent job of that if your hand is okay. There are multiple times where the clunky mana base got in my way. I couldn't cast Morphon yet, but I needed to get some Bant cards out, but I only had 1 land that made Bant mana, so I wasn't able to cast the cards, and I finally drew a 2nd land that could add to the Bant mana, but it entered tap because I didn't have any shapeshifters in my hand. So it's a whole lot of clunk when it comes to the mana base. I wish, or if this is something that you're buying to play, I would definitely look at upgrading the mana base. Not that you have to spend a ton of money on it, but just understand that the land situation can be rough. So if you're editing stuff, that is something I would definitely goldfish a lot to kind of edit the meta base and get that into a position where it runs a lot smoother, because that was the biggest issue point. I had to mulligan a lot based on lands. Just the lands in hand weren't casting anything that I needed to cast, or just not enough lands or what have you, or everything was tapped. You get it. The lands aren't that great. Probably too many basics in the deck as is, so you can probably pull a few of those to add some more fixing. In terms of everything else, I'll say that the main game plan runs pretty smooth. You get to do the stuff that you want to do fairly reasonably well. Sometimes you'll have games that are non-starters just because you'll never draw a shapeshifter. That's just, I think there are enough shapeshifters in the deck, but sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. Sometimes you just don't get it, and that happens. The only other thing I would say is that the deck is very vulnerable to board wipes, which are pretty prevalent these days because everyone's board state is pretty good all the time, kind of a lot because of the power creep in Magic, and we're pretty weak to them because we're a creature-based deck, and not only are we based on creatures, but we have to have very specific synergies, so we need to have more fun out. We need to have all these other creatures out so they can all kind of give the buffs to one another, and everything has to work in good harmony. And it's super cool when it comes together, but it also falls apart very quickly, especially people just removing everything off your board. So understand that, yeah, I think I'd give it a C in terms of playability. I think it's playable. I think you'll have fun with it, especially if you like this style of deck where you're just trying to dump your hand and play cool cards that synergize in weird and quirky ways together, because like something wasn't a vampire or it was a egg token, and now it's an egg that taps for 8 mana or has flying and haste and is an 18/18 because of coat of arms or whatever. Like, that stuff is cool. Don't get me wrong. And you'll get to do cool stuff like that, but understand you will have games that will feel bad because the current mana base is clunky, or you just won't draw the right stuff. It's a cool deck, cool concept. I do think this is a more fun concept, and financials are fine. Art looks good, and it plays fine. So overall, 2 fines and a good art. So hooray. Good for this deck. That's all I got for you today. I'm going to be letting you guys know what I'm buying on Sunday, coming up the day before the Lairs launch. This deck is coming out with the rest of the Ultimate Pencil Superdrop, which I covered last week. So if you want to see that, click on the card. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right spot, so I'm just going to point at both the corners, and then maybe I'll put it in maybe I won't even put it in any of the corners because I'm bad at YouTube. But covered all the Superdrop before, so if you want to check that out, there's the link. This one and the Superdrop are coming out on the 12th, so that's Monday on May, and I will let you guys know on Sunday what I'm going to be picking up, because I haven't quite made a decision. I may be buying this deck. I may also be buying a camera, so I don't know if my dry powder for the month of May is going to go towards camera, or if I want to spend $200 also on the deck as well. We'll see. I don't know yet. I will let you guys know, though, on Sunday before I buy anything, for transparency's sake. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.